All right. Hey, everyone, stand by 1 second. Just trying to get the rest of the mods in. And yeah, we'll be ready to start this show. All right, it looks like we got everybody here. Welcome everybody to Xbox Talks. I know we kind of missed last weekend, but we are back again. New time, new day, new show. If you guys don't know what Xbox Talks is, Foreman posted about it earlier. Basically, this is a show for you guys. We come up, we talk about everything Xbox Talks that happened in the week. Things like that. We want to discuss this with you guys, the community. This show's purely for you guys. It's your show as much as it is ours. So please hit that hand button to raise hand. We'll bring you guys up as soon as we can. But we're just here to talk about Xbox and have fun and just kind of hang out and, with the community. So let's do our round of introductions. Foreman?
Yeah, hey everybody. I'm sorry that we missed last week. We were setting up some stuff kind of on the back end of this.
He forgot to unmute his microphone.
Oh my gosh, I did. I'm just sitting here babbling away. Thanks for the save. I just wanted to say hi, everyone. Sorry that we did miss last week. We've been setting up some stuff on the back end. We restored all the past episodes, so if you took part back in the early days of this, you can go back and listen to yourself, so that's always kind of fun to do. But we're happy to be back, and we keep putting work into this, trying to make it a little bit better every week. So hopefully those improvements kind of become evident as you're taking part. And just happy to be here talking about Xbox again this week with everyone. So let's introduce everybody else.
Moko? Actually, yeah, let's bring Moko up. It's been a while since he's been here. How you doing, bud?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm a UK mod from Manchester. Yeah, I'm just happy to be here again. I was on the first 3, I believe, but I'm super pumped to be on this one.
Yeah, we're happy to have you back, and it's cool to. We're all obviously from the States, I believe. I know we are, so it's nice to have. We have a lot of users in Europe and all over the world, really. Australia, the Philippines. It's really interesting where a lot of our traffic comes from. So anytime we can get some different perspectives, and that's always helpful. So glad to have you back.
Cool, thanks.
Yeah, you bet. And then I'll kick it over to introduce Ivan Grimprovise. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing pretty good. As most of you know, I'm mostly the mod over on the Discord side of things. But, I come in on the talks when I can. And, I think I've had a good streak so far. I haven't missed one in a little bit, I don't think. So I like the new schedule, though.
Yeah, no. We've been happy to have you take part. And you have a lot of good insights for us. So, yeah, welcome back. And last but not least, we have Mikey J. Raymond. Welcome back, friend.
Hello. I have nothing interesting to say yet until we get to the topics.
He's over there. He's biting his tongue right now because I know what he wants to talk about, and we'll probably get into that shortly. So, Kevin, you kind of introduced yourself, but you didn't really. How was your week? And it sounds like you've been busy, so you probably had too much time to catch up on games and Halo and all that. But how are you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing good. So, mostly just been working a lot lately. And then I actually restarted Moonglow Bay. Now that the patch is in and stuff like that, I said I'd go back. Finally went back, got all 151 fish. Just kind of been keeping it mellow on the games for right now. But I'm glad to be back.
It's really interesting how that happens. Sometimes I think it happens to all of us, especially as we get older. You have these really intense streaks of maybe you're really into a game and you get to play it, and maybe it's like a month and a half, and then all of a sudden life jumps in the way and you got to put things on the back burner for a little bit. But it's nice knowing that the games are going to be waiting for you when you find time to play them again. So hopefully you can get back into things again pretty soon. But when you can't, a game like Moonglow Bay, here we go again, right? Can't pronounce that game.
I was about to say.
Games like that are a perfect fit because they're a little bit more casual and you can a little more bite-sized, where it's not like Elden Ring and you just feel like you have to constantly play and progress, and it's such an endeavor. So good choice. I can't wait to play more of that myself.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's been on my list to go back. It's such, it had a rough launch, but it's such a beautiful game. It's so relaxing. It's just fishing and cooking and just yeah, it's just a real chill, relaxed game. I just haven't really done the sweat fest that's like COD, or been interested in it, of like, COD and stuff like that, or Fortnite and all that stuff. I know Mikey and I were supposed to play Fortnite together. I don't even think I installed it yet. I'm sorry, but I kind of flaked on you on that one.
Neither did I. I've been stuck playing Conan Exiles on PC and
Nice.
Cyberpunk on Xbox, switching back and forth.
That's a nice little rotation there. So at least you're staying active. I guess let's kind of get into some topics this week, and anybody that's listening, if you guys have some news that you want to catch up on, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll bring you up, and you can come introduce any subject that you want to. But otherwise, we kind of have a whole list of stuff that we've missed and want to catch up on. And I think Mikey might want to talk a little bit about some comparing and contrasting with some move that PlayStation made, actually. So let's get into it.
I say yeah. Let's have Mikey started off. Let's just get right down to the nitty gritty here.
Oh, you're doing too much build up. It's taking away some of my anger. I guess I shouldn't be angry because we need to wait and see a little bit more on it. But I wanted to talk about, now that PlayStation Premium, PlayStation Plus, whatever you want to call the service specifically of the tiers, and their announcement, the game demos, game trials. I'm going to try to say trials the whole time. If I say demos, it's not a shot at Sony or PlayStation or anything.
And there
like that.
are people that will take you to task for that distinction. Yes, so good call.
I accidentally use it interchangeably, so apologies. Rumor mill came out that Sony is now requiring everybody that has a game of $35 or over, I think it was 35, that they have 35. To have a 2-hour trial released on the store only to PlayStation Premium customers. So anybody paying for that $18 a month tier or the $120 a year tier, the highest tier they have, will get access to these trials. So they're being forced. Now, the other word that came out was that PlayStation was doing this for them. How do you guys feel about that? I know what my takes are, and I'll get into them, but there's some certain issues for me that arise from something like this. What's your guys' take?
Yeah, I think you and I have talked about it in the Slack channel as well. I think it's awful. It's horrible for developers. It puts a lot of extra weight already on time constraints that they're already having to deal with the normal. Because for those that don't know, for stuff like this, you have to make a new build. You have to create a specialized build for these trials. The same thing, even though I'm not comparing, a little bit I am, but it is like a demo. Demos just aren't like, you can't just cut a piece of the game and put it out. No, you have to, it's a whole new build, it's a whole new project, it's all of that. So I think it's horrible what they're doing, and they're not even, I mean, at least from what I know, they're not even helping with the cost. So it puts a lot of weight and a lot of extra burden on developer teams to force something that they never initially signed up for.
So let me throw this in very quickly.
I did read the news on this, but what's the, what if they don't do this? What's the comeback on them from Sony if they don't play ball with this feature?
They don't get listed on the store.
And I want to kind of jump in here before we get too deep into this. There was a kind of a follow-up story to this, and I'm not sure the details, so forgive me. But PlayStation did say that they're going to create a team that's going to help developers create these trials. So they're not leaving them out there just shaking in the wind. They are going to offer some kind of support. And I don't know how that's going to work, how an external team from Sony is going to go into somebody's development house and be like, hey, this is how we're going to do the demo, or the trial. Oh God. But anyways,
Boo.
oh boy, I'm gonna get yeeted right off this podcast. But it is worth noting that they at least are offering some kind of support for this. But I do kind of agree with you guys that it seems unnecessarily obtrusive to developers.
It seems unmanageable, like long term. It's an unnecessary request, really. I think a lot of them.
My problem arises with a couple things. One, you look at Game Pass. Anybody that enters into a Game Pass deal, it's by choice. Any developer can choose to sign up for Game Pass, and if Microsoft agrees, there's a handshake deal going on. In this instance, anybody that's releasing on the PlayStation Store has to have this demo out, even if Sony helps them. And not only do they have to have this trial out, but it's locked behind a paywall. So you have to pay $18 a month or $120 a year to have trials. I won't even get into EA Play. That's why I've never talked about it on here. I know they also have it, but theirs are 10 hours, and they only do it for their own games. They don't force other developers to do it. So forcing someone to do it is one thing. And where is the revenue going? Is it going to the developers? Because trials and demos have actually been shown within recent years to have very mixed effects on games. Sometimes people, they feel like they get the most out of the game and they won't end up buying the game because of the trial or demo. That's why many of these, you won't see them for 3 to 6 months till after it comes out. Which the one good news about this is that developers won't have to have these trials out for, I believe it's 3 months after release. So maybe they can stave off losing some sales that way, but it's just a whole mixed bag of things that I feel for developers. I really do, because in the end, it potentially it could hurt them a lot.
Yeah. No, I had not considered that. That's a really excellent point. Yeah, right. What they're doing it for free, and they're not going to get any compensation for it. Well, that would be a wild proposition to me, and I would definitely expect some pushback from some developers for some of those scenarios that you pointed out there. Spun13, welcome up to the stage. We're happy to have you join us today. If you wanted to weigh in on this or bring something totally different at us, that's fine. You can unmute yourself by clicking the mic icon at the bottom of your client, and we would love to hear from you. So welcome. Hopefully you can figure that out.
I like your avatar, bud.
Yeah, me too. That's one of the cooler snooze.
Yeah, the snooze. I was about to say, yeah, the snooze. Well, while he does that and unmutes, yeah, Mikey makes up it's a totally fair point. Like, trials and demos, like, this is so just like in your face. You have to do this because this is what we're telling you to do now. You want to play ball with Sony, then this is what you have to do. And it's just, it's so antiquated and just, I don't know. It just rubs like just working from the industry. It leaves a bad taste, and it just seems so just not tactful. And I don't know. I have big issues with it as well.
Yeah, and also like what Mikey was saying, where it's like, you see sometimes these trials and things, they don't always equal to a sale. It's like sometimes people take that and they're just content. I mean, I remember that going all the way back to the, demo disc back in the day. Like people were like, oh, this Trasher skateboarder game's really sick. No one bought it. And then if you bought it, you realize it's like a 5 out of 10 game. It's like, oh, the demo is the best part, So, I mean, people are going to feel really weird if they're just going to get like, I guess, a curated 2 hours. That's probably going to be the best foot forward. And even if people do buy it, they might be taking advantage of the refund policy. So now, the only people getting the money would be the premium tier, PlayStation Pocket. Like, oh, we got this tier so that we can make these trials. And, well, at least that's working. If people refund the game, oh, well.
No, definitely. That's 100% fair.
Something that I think, that would be a good measure to this, or something that would be better than this policy, but I wouldn't lock this behind a paywall either. Look to Steam. Look what they've done for the last few years with their 2-hour refund policy or owning for 2 weeks. No questions asked. Now, granted, you need to have some things in place for that, because obviously you don't want to be selling $5 games that are completable in 40 minutes and somebody completes it, refunds it, gets their money back. That's terrible. You don't want to do that. But look at what they've been doing. Wildly successful. Developers are still making crap ton of money. It's not hurting anybody. So employ something like that. Don't lock 2-hour trials behind a paywall that could inevitably end up hurting developers. It's silly to me.
Just pull Rainbow Siege up. Hi, buddy.
Hey guys, can you hear me?
Yeah. Welcome up, Rainbow Seecher. Is that, I think I'm pronouncing that properly, if I can read. And what did you want to talk about today?
So this is kind of a question coming from somewhere else that you guys haven't talked about yet. I know this just started relatively recently.
No, go for it.
And I don't know if you guys are technically, this is what this is all about, but in terms of all the acquisitions that Microsoft has gotten, different studios, I understand it from a business aspect, but what can we see in terms of how it's going to relate to gamers? Because I kind of personally feel like it's taking away the competition between studios, and how can we say that it's still going to be a gamer service rather than just pulling in the money from acquiring all these studios? How do we know that it's still going to stay true to the gamers?
Well, I think the big reason for these acquisitions is not necessarily to make them exclusives. They bought Bethesda and so far Starfield, and I believe Elder Scrolls 6 has been said to be exclusive, but the big reason is so they can forever have all these games day one coming out on Game Pass. A lot of these games are still going to be coming to other consoles. Microsoft's big thing is they want Game Pass everywhere they can get it, and they've even talked about having it on PlayStation. They have it on PC. They probably want it on Switch. They want this service out in gamers' hands everywhere. I guess it would depend on if you feel that Game Pass itself is inherently bad.
Sorry. You mean via xCloud? As in, like running xCloud on Switch, so you can access.
No, just
the stream.
Actually having the subscription service on Nintendo Switch. Like, you can pay monthly, whatever, and it would be a service that you can get on your Nintendo Switch. That's what you meant, right, Mikey?
Yes. To go back to Siege, I know. I guess it means, what do you find that could be against gamers in this sense with these acquisitions? And I'll direct my points at that specifically.
Oh, we may have lost them. Or if you can hit F5 on your window, sometimes you'll go invisible. You're still here, but if not, if we lost you, sorry, come back up if you can. But
it's a good point.
I was just gonna say. I was about to say, yeah.
Do it. You go. No, you.
Oh, all right. I was gonna say, yeah. No, Mikey brings up a good point. Like, I think the fact that they're not trying to make a lot of this exclusive. I mean, I think that's the only reason why the Activision deal is probably going to go through, is because they've already jumped ahead of the game, and they're like, yeah, no, don't worry. You guys are still going to get Call of Duty on other consoles and everything like that. We're not locking this behind an exclusive. And I think right now it's just Redfall and Starfield are the two, I think, are the only two right now that I know of.
Where does it stop? Stop in the sense that, I read this week that, Ubisoft is on the cards for Microsoft, or Warner Brothers probably is going to go up for sale soon. Like, if the Activision deal goes through, does that then block them from purchasing Ubisoft, for example?
All right, I'm coming in hot. So I have a bunch of points that I want to kind of tackle about this. And the first thing is I'm kind of at a point where I don't think Microsoft necessarily needs to be chasing down Ubisoft or even any of these huge, big development houses that are out there. I think we heard rumors about Warner Brothers. I could see the case for maybe Sega, because that makes some inroads into the Japanese market, which is obviously somewhere where they're struggling. But if we look at all the IP that Microsoft currently has under their belt, they have so many different things that are not undeveloped or just kind of left sitting. We're looking at games like Viva Pinata and old school Microsoft games like Freelancer, and people are begging for another Quake game. And they could definitely use some bodies to start cranking out some games. And if they wanted to acquire development studios, so they had more manpower, that would make sense. But I see a lot of gamers out there being like, oh, what if they got Assassin's Creed? And what if they got Ghost Recon? And I have to wonder, in a situation where you already own Call of Duty, do you really need Ghost Recon? Isn't that kind of redundant? Is that a good use of money and resources for Microsoft? And as we get into this too, we start hearing, as our user, our guest brought up, this talk about monopoly. And I think gamers tend to sensationalize this a little bit, that they're like, oh, Microsoft's buying up everybody. There's not going to be any competition. But when you look at almost every major industry, let's look at cell phones. There's two major players. RIP Windows Phone, right? Anyways, it's Android and iPhone or Apple. And if both of these players have kind of an equal share of the market, that's not a monopoly. They can acquire whatever they want, basically, as long as they're providing competition to each other. It's not going to get slapped down in the U.S. Now, in Europe, obviously, they're more strict about this, as Microsoft is well aware of with some of the Windows and Internet Explorer thing that happened in, I think, in the 90s, where they had to decouple them thanks to Europe being a little more stricter about regulation. And that's a good thing to see, but I'm not overly concerned about having just a few major players. If it's just Sony and what do we have, Embracer Group and Microsoft Game Studios, and of course Nintendo does their own thing, but that's a lot of competition. The only time where this is really going to be like an issue where they're going to come down and shut down this deal is if it gets to be a situation where one of the players is obviously starting to squeeze out the others and getting so much control that they can manipulate prices, and we're not at that point. So I think, yeah, there's some news out there. I know that we saw some things about, well, the stock price of Activision is trading low because people don't think it's going to go through. It's going to go through, and I'm no expert, but I mean, if you look at other industries like we were just discussing with the phones or even food, consolidation is the name of the game. And if some people that I'm more wise than me, and talking about economics, it's just when the economy is inflationary like it is now, businesses consolidate. So it's kind of what's happening in the gaming industry. Thank you for allowing me this rant. Please weigh in.
There's so much we can comment on.
Well, I think you.
Sorry. Sorry. The graphic I saw this week says that Microsoft has got a smaller, even with everything they're doing, they've got a much smaller slice of the pie than others.
Yes, it's kind of exaggerated a little bit when people are like, oh, Monopoly's or Microsoft's buying up everything. Monopoly, oh god, that was a slip. Yeah. But please go ahead.
I was just gonna say that, like, when you brought up like, they need to have like Ubisoft for Assassin's Creed and things like that. Usually, when I see people talk about that, and it kind of goes with Mikey's point too, where it's like, Microsoft just really cares about padding Game Pass. And I think even the consumer is like, we want you to make these acquisitions so that it'll be on Game Pass. I mean, there's games that aren't necessarily bodied off other platforms. Like Psychonauts 2 came out and everything, but it was on Game Pass. So, like, that's what people want. They just want...
There was a leak. There was a leak just a couple of days ago, which again is just a leak, but it's not confirmed. But the Ubisoft Plus service is supposedly going to be added like EA Play to Game Pass. So you don't even need to acquire Ubisoft. You just need to make an EA Play style deal.
That was pretty thinly sourced. It was it might have even been like a community manager making a Twitter post, and the internet being the internet just kind of ran with it. They're just like, oh, Ubisoft's coming to Game Pass, and everyone just like, whoa, pump the brakes, people.
But EA Play turned up on it. There's no reason why it couldn't.
It is a possibility, that's for sure. So that was what a good subject, right?
Acquisition's always going to bring up a good subject. There's so much to talk about it, especially now. Like I said, you got Embracer Group coming in just out of left field, grabbing up, Square Enix Montreal and Eidos Montreal and Crystal Dynamics now. So I don't know. It's acquisition season, and it's still going strong. But to your point, like you said, Foreman, there's so many other pieces of the pie right now. People that have a way larger share. Embracer Group, Tencent. You have these companies that are putting way more into these than Sony and Microsoft. Those should be the last of your worries, but it's a console war. So of course people are going to doom and gloom their rival console, I guess you could say.
Yeah. E3 is coming up, right? Do you think there's going to be do you think it's going to be about the games and the current studios, or do you think there's anything to be announced at E3?
Well, to that point, what was actually another rumor, apparently almost every development studio currently working on a project for Xbox has submitted something for the showcase.
Wow.
Yeah, I heard about that too. Yeah, that they're gonna. It's supposed to be just insane, the June showcase. Which I don't know. I mean, do you guys want to switch over to that? I know that was on our list, or we could finish talking up about. I don't know if Mikey's finished his his not tirade about this trial demo.
Oh,
thing.
I have a lot to say about acquisitions too. I don't have a prepared script to read like Corbin seemed to have.
When I'm on fire, man, I'm on fire. But
We need
But
some
all
hands.
I was
If
gonna
anybody
say
else
is-
wants to speak, put your hand up. That'd be good to get people up.
All I'll say is this: I also don't think that they should be buying more and more publishers. You know, ZeniMax and such, because they've had such a good relationship with Bethesda in the past. They have. They've always worked closely with them, so that one made sense. The Activision acquisition, I'm just going to point to the number of studio people who have gone to Blizzard in the last few years with Mike Ybarra and Rod Ferguson, now the leader of Diablo, and Mike Ybarra, way higher up executive there too. Of course, they had a close relationship with Activision Blizzard, and hopefully they can turn around the culture that is there in present, and that was terrible under Bobby
Yes.
Kotick. But one of the at this point, they don't need more giant publishers. They don't need to buy a Ubisoft or a Warner Bros. What they could use, in my opinion, is maybe a couple IPs, something to compete with. And Microsoft, they've been so ahead of the game, they haven't really been going back and picking battles to compete against Sony with. But look at Marvel. They've got Spider-Man. They've got Wolverine. Maybe buying an IP like Batman from Warner Bros. Might work. Or maybe just buying Rocksteady a la carte rather than the whole studio, the whole publisher. Buy Rocksteady, who is such a great developer to begin with, and buy that IP. Get something locked down with DC. Maybe that's your competition, because Rocksteady has been rock solid for years. That would be a great acquisition, but don't buy the whole publisher.
yeah, that
Plus
makes
10
sense.
on that pun. I was gonna say plus,
I did
plus
catch
10
it.
on that pun, Mikey. I like that.
I also
You're
caught
welcome.
it. I
That's
agree
my
with what
2
you're
cents.
saying. No, that's a really good point. And maybe I'm a little bit too dismissive. I did mention the Japanese market, but if they're buying smaller bits and pieces, that makes more sense to me. And Microsoft knows better than any of us. Obviously, they know what they're doing. But I get a little gun shy when I start hearing about other huge acquisitions. I think Activision Blizzard is so much to take in. They are going to spend the next year sorting that out, if not more, getting the different teams together, working on the different products that are already going, the ones that they want to develop in the future. It seems like a full play. And as a gamer, all of that is enough for me. And you could throw out a random IP, that everybody loves, and I'll be like, yeah, sure, I'd love to see that on Xbox, but I'm sated. Like, everything that is laying in front of us is enough for me this generation and beyond. So maybe that's a personal take, but like I said, yeah, that was really a good subject. I kind of got a little fired up. Sorry.
I'm still
No problem.
somewhat jazzed and angry for some reason, so let's move on.
Yes, we should. We were kind of talking about the game show. Is that correct? We got confirmation. We knew that E3 wasn't happening this year, so Xbox finally came out and gave us a date on it. I believe that date is, let me look, June 12th. Wait, we
June
have it
12th.
here. It's going to be a Sunday, which a lot of times they've run their shows during the middle of the week. It makes it hard for people to engage with and check in on, but this is going to really build a big audience. So are you guys excited about that? I know I am. How could you not be?
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally excited. But also, we have Unbettable up here. He just kind of stealth
We do, yeah, right?
plus 100 to stealth just coming in. Hey, bud, good to have you back. Long-time listener, comes up frequently. How you doing? Or is Reddit talk? There they are.
Yeah, I thought we put him to sleep, maybe.
No, sorry. I'm trying to use my headset right now. I'm not sure if it's going through my phone or my headset, so I do apologize if
We
there's
can
some-
hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, you sound great.
All right, cool. But sorry. Anyway, thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, good to see you again.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it a lot. I just wanted to say something really quick about the whole trial thing you guys were talking about before. You said, you don't, it's bad for developers and Sony for putting on these mandatory, trials for games. But if we think back to the 360 age and how, I'm going to say 50-60% of games all had, free trials or demos, that was some of my favorite time playing games and trying stuff out was back then. So I really do appreciate that Sony's trying to kind of come back, because I want to say maybe, 5% of games now have trials on the Xbox or Sony store?
Yeah, and we might have been a little harsh. At least I kind of see the plus of it, too. It's just for I think what maybe we were kind of speaking about is just from a developer standpoint, it seemed kind of like an unnecessary burden. But from a consumer standpoint, I guess I'm not going to knock that other than the fact that it's behind a paywall. But I have fallen in love with games based on a trial before, too. So there's the opposite end of the spectrum. A game could suck and it could ruin sales, but it does have the potential to raise sales, too, right? Just as we see with Game Pass games. They a game like Guardians of the Galaxy is a good example where it finds an audience where it wasn't selling well, but a demo or a chance to play it really turns the tides. So that's a fair point. We there's pluses and minuses. It's just kind of the way that Sony's doing it. I think some of these other guys might have issues with, and I think we got into that. So
the key difference for me just being that back on 360, all those developers did it by choice. Forcing their hand is one thing, and then also locking it behind a paywall. Because I do get that it can be pro-consumer. I do. It would be great if everyone released some sort of trial or demo or something like that of that nature to help give people a chance to play their game. And I get that. And we've talked about how it can hurt sales, and maybe that just pushes developers to be better. But then don't lock it behind an $18 paywall, and don't force developers to do it and then keep all that revenue for yourselves. Like spread that wealth around if you're going to do that. It's just a mixed bags of all those little things that just make it seem like a rotten plan to me. Otherwise, I get the pro-consumer standpoint. I do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I'm with you on that. That's my biggest thing is it's pro-consumer on the outside, but then internally forcing developers, it's awful. Like that's the worst thing. Is if it was by choice, this wouldn't be an issue. They'd be totally fine. But the fact that they're paywalling it, and they're also forcing developers, hey, you want to release on our platform, this is what you have to do, kind of thing. That's what I have the biggest issue with, is it's forced. And I can see, and it's also going to suck because I can see a lot of indie developers that are already struggling with money and time constraints and budgets. Well, do we have to sell our game lower because we don't have the time to dedicate to making a trial / demo for this? I don't know. So either a lot of indie titles are going to come in under that $34 price range, $35 price range, or they're just not going to waste their time with PlayStation. It's overall, I think it's bad industry wise, good consumer wise, but bad industry wise.
You're going to see a lot of $34.99 titles.
That was the first thing I thought. Yeah. Like all these indie games are coming in at $34.99. Maybe that's the unseen benefit.
I was gonna say, because a lot of the you said that some developers might not waste their time, but a lot of indie games don't charge full price. They usually come out with games around $30, maybe $35 now. So I don't think it will affect studios that physically don't have the resources or time or money to make the demos. I don't know how hard it is to put out a new build for a demo. Like you said before, it could just be resource intensive, but I don't think it will hit companies that can't afford it that hard, because they might not charge $40 for their full game when it does come out.
The big thing that it would hurt is potentially sales. I obviously can't link during a Reddit talk, but there's actually some evidence out there that suggests upwards of 50% of your game sales can be decreased by releasing a demo or a trial. Now that's solely dependent on how much your game is in that trial, how much of a taste people can get from it, or if it's just generally bad. But it can have a very mixed bag. It doesn't generally help developers anymore. Which is why you see so few of them nowadays. I think the last game I bought based on a demo was Odyssey West, Enslaved Odyssey West, which was 2006, I think. Very old game. Most people probably have no idea what I'm talking about, but that demo convinced me to buy it. I haven't bought a game based on a demo since. But that's anecdotal. That's my personal experience.
Which trumps everything else. For you, at least. And that's how I feel about things, too. Yeah. So, for me, it's been a while, too. I can't recall when a demo has pushed me over the edge to buy recently, but I do recall back in the day, especially as Unbettable was saying, the early 360 days, demos were a lot more common, and a few of them got me. So, we'll see how that works out for Sony. For me, it's just... It just seems a little bit obtrusive, kind of like I was saying. Sony has a way of putting up a lot of barriers, and maybe it's for their good, kind of in the same way that Apple does with their products, where they like to keep everything streamlined and kind of functional and working a very specific way so users know what to expect, but at the same time, some of their policies leave me scratching my head. And Xbox has made some of those decisions in the past too, so this isn't one platform over the other. It's just this one lately. It seems like Sony's been making a lot of these moves that have me scratching my head. So I'm hoping that maybe this generation brings them back to the consumer-friendly view and developer-friendly view. If Xbox continues to gain on them, and that's one of the great things about competition, and one of the reasons that we like to see both platforms kind of push each other and kind of keep things even. So, what have you been playing, Unbettable? Let me just throw this completely sideways.
Oh yes, sure. So I don't know how long it's been on Game Pass, but I just downloaded. I don't know when it came out, probably a year or two ago. But Dead Army 4 is on Game Pass. I just downloaded that. Wasn't sure when it got released, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. Playing the campaign right now, and they do have a very good horde mode, kind of like a Nazi Zombies-esque mode that you can play with your friends, which is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I
Nice.
remember I played that when that first dropped on Game Pass. It was such a good time, like a lot of fun. And they did the free Left 4 Dead DLC, I believe, which was great and just awesome. That's such a good game. If you like that, definitely check out World War Z as well, because I think that is the Aftermath expansion. So I don't know if it's on Game Pass yet, but that's also really fun if you liked Dead Army 4.
Do you guys tend to play like one game at a time, or do you run 20 games like parallel, throughout the week?
I'm like the 2 or 3 guy. Like right now, I'm playing Cyberpunk, Conan Exiles, and actually this last week I wrapped up unpacking for all the achievements. So 2 or 3.
Yeah, there's just too much stuff, I'm just playing everything.
Yeah.
I keep jumping into all sorts of things.
Yeah.
And I've just bought the Skywalker Saga Lego because I've got a 5-year-old boy that was desperate to get hold of that, and I'm playing Guardians of the Galaxy and No Man's Sky. I'm dipped back into Tunic. I've started on from Game Pass, which is a beautiful game. Halo Infinite, because season 2 drops today. There's so much stuff.
Yeah, there's we ran a post maybe last week just asking how people kind of deal with that, because Game Pass can be overwhelming, and it gets me too. I'll be jumping between 15 different games, and I'm like, okay, well, I need to pick 3 of these, kind of like Mikey was saying, that I want to focus on. So in my rotation, I've had Skywalker Saga, great game, like you mentioned.
Yeah, amazing.
I tried the Stanley Parable this week. You guys familiar with that one? That's a fun ride. I started to read the reviews, and all the reviews are basically like, I'm not going to tell you anything about this game because it's going to ruin the experience for you. Just play it. And I was like, okay, well, that's intriguing. So the family and I sat down with that one, and I won't spoil anything either. It is a good group game, even with one controller, because you're presented with a bunch of options. Say go through left door, go through right door. And having everybody kind of debate about which one you should do is kind of fun. So highly recommend that. I'm not the only one. It's a very well-reviewed game.
I was going to say, you're going to be playing it in 10 years anyways from now to get that achievement.
I did see there is an achievement of not playing the game for 10 years. Is that right?
That's right.
There is.
Somebody's got it. Somebody's got it already on True Achievements. They just they've done the little clock thing, set you.
Yep, I did see somebody comment that on a post about the game, and everybody gave them a bunch of grief.
Yeah, they did. Yeah.
They're like,
You
you cannot
sure.
do that. They're like, you are an evil person. Cannot
It's a
do that.
play on the original game, because the original had an achievement for 5 years. So with the deluxe edition, they're like, we're going to make it 10.
So I don't know much about the difference between the versions, but I have read that this version is almost like a full sequel. People were asking how much additional content. So if you're familiar with the base game, the Xbox Super Deluxe Edition might still be worth your time. So I've seen some stuff that just definitely blew my mind. And like I said, it's one of those Game Pass games that, or no, it might not be Game Pass actually, but I think I bought it. But it's worth the journey.
Yeah. Well, I also held out for the update. So I bought Cyberpunk when it released, and I waited for the update, which dropped a couple of months ago. And so I've jumped back into that as well. And I've not finished it yet, but I'm having a really good time with that game. I think I don't know what it was like before, because I didn't, like I say, I read about the glitches and just shelved it until the update came out. But it's great so far. I'm really enjoying that game.
Still kind of polarizing. I think Mikey's been playing through it since the update, and I have waited on it, and just haven't been able to get back to it. So we're going to start moving through some topics kind of quickly here, because we could go on for days on some of these issues, but want to make sure that we cover at least some of the big stories that have happened the last couple weeks. And this one happened over a week ago, but it was kind of big news. We got some data about some hardware sales. Their MPTE hardware numbers, which is U.S. console sales, and what we found out is that Xbox had a very good first quarter this year. This is kind of relatively speaking, because there are some factors to consider. First of all is obviously the supply constraints that we've been dealing with. It feels like maybe part of the reason that this news has come out is because Xbox is doing a better job at addressing the supply chain and getting units out to consumers. So overall hardware still the supply is still really bad. It's down 24%. Revenue in total is down 24% from last year, if that makes any sense. That means that even though that Microsoft had a good quarter, total gaming, the hardware revenue is down because obviously the supply constraints. Xbox Series, the S and the X were the best-selling hardware platform for both March 2022 and the first quarter in dollars. So some more positive news for them. Xbox has gained a lot of market share compared to PlayStation. The Switch is still selling gangbusters, and it's kind of in its own little realm. But basically, what all this boils down to is that Xbox has been making gains, and it feels like there's a lot of positive momentum. I often use that word. So a lot of people latched onto that and said, "Yeah, go Xbox, good for them," right?
Yeah, no, I mean it's just, and I think part of the chip shortage. I think a lot of people are like, well, that's because there's a chip shortage and Xbox paid for more, and it's like, no, I mean partially that's kind of true, but I think it's just more of the signs of the time that you have such a great entry. Like Xbox has made it very simple for people to buy into the ecosystem with Game Pass. And it's an easy sell for parents, like that are trying to get their kids their first console, and it's like, well, I don't have to pay, $60 for a new title every other month. I could just pay $15 a month and you get access to hundreds of titles. It's just the sell is there. It's just an easy entry point. I think the way Xbox went about it is pretty smart. They're just making it so consumer friendly that it's hard to be like, well, I can't see a reason why not to get it.
And you can tell there's a huge momentum shift going, not necessarily taking away from PlayStation, but Xbox is now being seen in a positive light. You go back to Xbox One, everybody they got a lot of hatred, some of it much deserved, but they have 100% turned it around. Not only was it they were the best, selling console by dollars in March, but they're outpacing the 360 even under the constraints. This is a product that people want. People are loving it. The last couple weeks, I think PlayStation has beaten them by like 10 or 20,000 worldwide, but they're back in their main market. They're outselling PlayStation in the US still. It's the hype is back for Xbox, and hopefully this momentum keeps carrying forward and we keep seeing more games, and Microsoft keeps putting money into Xbox because it's working. Everything they've done, they're increasing their numbers, they're going forward, they're pushing forward. And I don't care if they take away from Sony. That's never been my battle. I don't care about that because that was the other, bit of news, obviously. But I just want to see them succeed. And not that I'm out there capping for $1 billion industry. I just want to see more stuff come to my console. I just want to see more value in my $500 machine. That's what I want at the end of the day. And
I think that's a valid perspective.
More stuff.
I enjoy that. Yes, I enjoy. Well, so I'm an underdog guy, and Microsoft has kind of been in that underdog position now for a couple generations. So when an underdog finally comes through and starts, landing a few punches or starts succeeding a little bit, I'm always like super excited for them. So even outside of just being a general Xbox fan, there's that whole aspect of it too. I'd like to see somebody get knocked down. The Xbox One generation was a serious, it was a TKO, right? It took them a while to recover from that. They had to get back up and come back in on a new fight with a new system, and now they're back.
I've still got the image burned of here's how you share games on PlayStation.
Oh, it was such a great burn. It really was. And I say that as a primarily Xbox fan. Like when they did that, I was just like, oh my God, it's all over with. It's just a haymaker. So yes, that I'm sure many gamers have that as part
Finish
of their
him.
memory. Yes, exactly.
Hey, actually, I did see we had Rainbow Sieger come back up. Did they get their stuff fixed?
Kevin lives by a firehouse, in case you couldn't tell, but
Oh,
I think it's
sorry.
funny. No,
Yeah,
you're totally fine.
I live next to a police station and firehouse, so they frequently come down my street, unfortunately.
I
Extra
kind of like it.
protection.
Yep.
Is there any need for the siren immediately out of the firehouse? No.
Hey, I did pop back in. Sorry about that. My internet cut out, but I got the answer I was looking for the most part.
Awesome. We're glad to have you back. And if you wanted to drop a comment under this post, we same for you, Unbettable, as usual. We'll throw you some Reddit Premium, and we just you actually started a really good conversation that we had up here. So if you did miss any of it, you can catch it later in the replay too. So and thanks for bringing that topic up.
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely seems like it brought up a good topic, because I was gone for almost a half an hour, and I came back and it seems like you guys were still talking about it. So
Oh Lord, what day is it, guys? Is it Wednesday?
Yeah.
I'm so lost.
Definitely. I know, right? Awesome. Well, thanks, bud. Yeah, we'll like Foreman said, drop a comment. We'll shoot some month of Reddit Premium your way.
I appreciate it. Thank you guys again.
Take care, yeah, and please, if you want to join us again, watch out for us. We'd love to hear from you again. So thanks. So cool.
Any more hands? Anyone else want to speak?
Well, let's go to our next topic. I know we kind of got sidetracked by MPD numbers. What else did you have on the docket? We still have the Bethesda Showcase to talk about, the secret achievements. There's so much. I know we missed a whole week.
We did. So let's first of all talk about that showcase a little bit more. For those of you that are listening to us now, or that listen to us in podcast form or on YouTube or wherever you're finding us, we want to do something a little special for that Bethesda Xbox show in June there. And what we're going to try to do is a live simulcast. So we're going to have the video up. We're going to be reacting live. We want to bring you guys up to watch it with us. Maybe you come on stage for 10 minutes and watch the reveal of a game or something, and just give us your immediate and your genuine live takes. There's only one chance to catch that, and you can't recreate it. So as a gamer, to me, it's such a special thing. It's like Gamer Christmas when we do these big reveal shows, and maybe there will be some surprises. Maybe we'll see some pinatas or something, and then my entire setup will combust because I'll just be so excited. But it's just gonna if you're around at that time, we'll talk about it obviously in the shows to come. But that's kind of what we're building toward, and something to keep on your radar. So obviously E3 was canceled this year. This is going to be it kind of for Xbox, and this year it's the Xbox Bethesda show. Next year it might be the Xbox Bethesda Activision Blizzard show. So this might be the way the Xbox communicates their big summer news, their big reveals with us moving forward, as E3 seems to be kind of on life support. So hopefully you guys will be able to join for that show. I'd be excited to have all of us up here kind of taking a gander at it and seeing how that goes. So I've
already got the day off.
I made sure to clear the day too. I went on my calendar and I was like, Xbox game show. I will no other obligations that day, please. So I'm sure many of our users are equally excited. I know those are a big deal. So we can talk about the secret achievement thing. It was just kind of this is something that's been an issue. Maybe a better term would be a request for years and years, is the ability to reveal what a secret achievement pertains to, how to complete it, for lack of a better phrase. So a lot of times when you go through a game and you're playing it and you're like, I have these last 3 achievements to get, but I don't know what they are. So what would you do? You'd go to True Achievements or something like that. Well, now right on your console, you can press a button. It will tell you what the achievement is. It seems like a small fix, but once you do 100 of these small fixes, they add up to a better gaming environment for all of us. Good. You
I've used it.
About it?
I used it from I used it for Moonglow. So there was a couple of like secret achievements I had, and I was like, dang, what is this? And I was like, I could go to, and then I remember reading, and I was like, or I could just hit the little button, and then there we go, secret achievement revealed. And it was pretty helpful. And then you could still go into the menu and like search for help, and it'll take you to True Achievements, or it'll do a search for you on Google and then or Bing, and then it will take you to
Bing,
the True Achievement site. So it's really streamlined, and the functionality of it's pretty awesome.
This came out 1 month too late for me, because I was struggling with Elden Ring achievements, and I have my profile private, which I should probably just make it public. But when you hook into True Achievements, it'll track your achievements. But if you have it private, it doesn't. So I had to go to True Achievements, look at all the secret achievements, go, okay, what boss do I have? And then go look at my Xbox, look at that list. I had to go back and forth to make sure which bosses I was missing, because I couldn't remember based on the names, because the names are so undescriptive at times. And I had forgotten them. So I was comparing lists. Had I just had the secret achievement unlock, I could have looked at what were the 2 bosses I was missing. Ugh. 1 month too late, but it's a great addition.
Did you get the 1,000 on Elden Ring?
I have 100%ed it. Everything's done with Elden Ring for me.
Wow, that's
about 5.5 days.
That's impressive.
He is an Elden master.
Yes.
I hit 400k on Friday.
Yeah, that's impressive as well. I have been on gaming on Xbox for 14 years, and I still haven't hit 100k, and it has me questioning my gamer credibility.
Can't come back to the show till you get 100k for
No, but I'll see you in like 10 years. No, I'm at like 85,000
now.
Yeah, I gotta start playing those easy games. And see, the problem is I play a game like Terraria, and I play it for like 4 years, and that's only one set of achievements.
I played Destiny for about 3 years. It completely. I got 0 gamer score for a long time.
Well, thanks to Game Pass though, that score has been climbing because I play a bunch of games now, so that's definitely helped out. Other news this week: Activision, Blizzard, and Microsoft shareholders both approved the merger. We discussed that a little bit earlier. Just another sign that this is going to probably move forward. Hopefully without too many hiccups. I think the last hurdle now will be the regulatory issues. I shared my opinion on that earlier. I don't think we need to rehash that. So I think that's about it for like actual news pertaining to Xbox. Is there anything that you guys wanted to hit on? Otherwise, we have some individual game news that we can touch on real quick. Open mic? Nothing?
I was going to say, which games do you guys want to see the most from the showcase in June? Like, what are you looking forward to most? For me, it's actually Avowed.
Okay, so
about that one.
I think this is kind of a good tie-in. We actually have a survey up on the Series X subreddit right now, and over 500 responses already. So I think this is going to be pretty indicative of what people are using, what they're looking for. We asked some good questions, and one of those questions were, what is your most anticipated game coming forward? So I'm going to throw out some options, and I might have spoiled this for Kevin in the pre-warm-up show that we were doing, but the question was titled, I am interested in the following upcoming releases, and here are our options. We have Avowed, Outer Worlds 2, Perfect Dark, Starfield, Fable, Redfall, Hellblade 2, State of Decay 3, Everwild, and Forza Motorsport. So that's a long list. Yeah, okay. So that's a long list to kind of remember, but if you guys had to pick one game that you would believe to be most anticipated, what would your guess be?
I would say Starfield.
Okay, I hear Starfield and Fable. So this is kind of shocking to me, and I knew the hype was big for this game, but 90% of our users said that they were excited or interested in Starfield, and to get 90% of any group of people to agree on anything is it's so uncommon, especially for something subjective about a series or a favorite game. So obviously the anticipation for Starfield is off the charts.
I think it's because of the scope of the game and the power of the new console. I think people are waiting for that game, which is going to blow the console open. And Starfield is the marketing so far has been promising that. Whether it will or won't live up to that hype, it probably won't. But,
that's kind of a danger, right? Because Fallout 4 maybe kind of fell victim to that, where people maybe overhyped it a little bit and they didn't like the directions that they took with it. But as a huge Bethesda fan, there's a lot of reasons to be excited for Starfield.
And the exclusivity now, I think that maybe a lot of people are pumped for it because of it is now an Xbox exclusive as well.
Well, we should clarify that, yes, this survey is taken from subscribers to our community, so these are your core Xbox gamers, and I think that can be good, but it's also going to sway this when it comes to certain questions. For example, we asked, which console do you own and primarily play on? Well, 90% of our users have already, they've secured their Series X, right? So 15% of our users are also using a Series S in some capacity, which I thought was kind of an interesting comparison. I think you'll find that The Series S is probably landing more with your casual gamers, which maybe we're not very representative of. So that was kind of interesting. But let's go back to this question that Mikey posed about what you're excited about to see at the presentation. Mikey, you said Avowed.
Yeah, it's Avowed for me. Also, just to go back, I only said Fable because I wanted to be different. I know everyone's way too excited for Starfield.
So okay,
Not too excited, but anyways, but Avowed for me, I want to see Obsidian with some money, like actual money backing. They've always been terrific, but they have kind of this quick turnaround on games. They get them out, they're well done, but they always seem like they could have built something bigger. And I got that feeling from Outer Worlds. Outer Worlds is terrific.
Yes.
But I felt like they could have done something a little bit more had they just had time. And I hope that's what Avowed is. And I hope it's not a quick turnaround like they've seen. Because everyone loves them for Fallout New Vegas, which they used Fallout 3 to make. And if you go and look at their history, it was a very quick turnaround. I want to see that they do what they can do with some time and some money. Because these guys are good. I think a lot of people are sleeping on what Avowed could be, and maybe I'm overhyping it, just thinking they're something they're not. But that's why I'm excited for it.
But what about games? What always gets me with these conferences and the reveals, like what I buzz from is like the unknown stuff. Like all the things that you've just put in that list. We know they're coming.
That was I didn't put anything that was unconfirmed.
what classic IP, from these acquisitions and studios, these classic IPs which Phil Spencer could revive. That's all the big reveals what could come on. They're just shocked like that. That's what I look forward to.
Yeah, there will be some surprises. I'm almost sure of it. Like I said, we all kind of have our dark horse games, and mine is Viva Pinata. Can I say that 1,000 more times? Viva Pinata, Viva Pinata. But
Pinata, yeah.
I'm hoping that does make. I would love to see that next gen. But okay, so let's go back to these numbers here just a little bit. So good pick on Fable. Fable actually came in number 2 on that list at 73% of gamers saying that they were interested in that release, and we don't know anything about it. We've seen a title splash screen, so that's just based on the legacy of those games, which was kind of controversial if you know the full story there. But that's a story for another show. Coming in at number 3 was Avowed. With 63% of the people interested in it. And let me tell you something, this probably isn't news to most of our listeners, but I learned this week that Avowed is actually set in the Pillars of Eternity universe. Are you guys familiar with Pillars of the Eternity at all? Or of Eternity? So it's kind of like
really
old school, I want to say it's almost like D&D. It's a little more slower, and you control a whole party. A really excellent role-playing game. There's 2 of them actually. There's 1 and 2, and I think they're both available on Game Pass. If you're interested in tabletop or Dungeons and Dragons, are a little bit slower and a little more true role-playing game, they're superb. And to learn that Avowed was set in the same universe really excited me. So if any of our users are familiar with those games, they might understand the excitement. So coming in at the bottom of the list was Everwild. I just wanted to throw that out there. That it's been real quiet on that front. That's understandable. I don't even know what Everwild's about. I'm gonna be honest.
From what I hear, Rare's not sure either. But they kind of did that with Sea of Thieves. I remember for years Sea of Thieves was almost identical from when I played it at E3, and then I got to play it in a beta. It was the same game. But they took off with it and became wildly successful. So Microsoft's, you do your thing.
Which, hey, if it worked once, why not give them that opportunity again? So I guess we'll see more about that when they're ready, and then that makes sense. And obviously, they're still actively developing Sea of Thieves, like you said. It's a fantastically successful game now, I would say, at this point. Like it has a very active player base, and they're very passionate about that game. So that's interesting. We can go down some of this other data here. Are you guys interested in hearing a few more stats, or we can kind of we can go any direction you want to?
Yeah, actually, I'm kind of curious on what our community wants more of, what they want, what we could do better, what they want more of. I kind of want to hear some of those things.
Yeah, we have some community-based questions as well too. So I'm just going to run through some. If you guys want to jump in, just stop me and chime in. But this isn't necessarily community-based, but we did ask if you're satisfied with the direction of Xbox as a brand and a platform. And again, these are our core Xbox gamers, but 81% of the people said yes, that this is the future of gaming, that they are on board with what Xbox is doing. A further 18% said that they're somewhat satisfied with the direction, and there's obviously places to critique. And only, hold on, I can't even get it. The sliver of the pie is so small. 0.6% of people said they're not at all satisfied. So, at least for it's kind of preaching to the choir, right? But the people here seem to be pretty happy with the direction Xbox is going. No big surprise there. This was a little more surprising to me. We asked, how many of you are you subscribed to Game Pass, and what version are you using? A full 94% of our users said that they have Game Pass Ultimate, which is absurdly high. This is probably a lot to do with the free trials and the conversions that are going on, but even with all that considered, 94% are using Game Pass Ultimate, which is Xbox has got to love to see numbers like that. We asked about your primary controller battery situation. This is kind of a weird one, but I thought this was kind of interesting. 40%, the number one option was rechargeable batteries. Is that what you guys use? Anyone?
I use the plug and play.
pack.
Yeah.
Oh,
I use
okay.
the pack.
Yep, so you're both using packs. So that was the next option, actually. 32% of people said that they use the plug-and-play charger. I actually learned this week. Those are a little better for the environment as they contain lithium batteries, which are disposable. So it actually has me considering switching over just to be a little greener. Also, they're pretty convenient, those play and charge packs, so that's kind of cool. We found that 9% of people are using disposable AA's, and I just want to ask those people why. Can I help you? I will send you an Energizer recharger or whatever you need to get away from that habit. So we also asked what system did people prefer? Did they prefer an internal battery like PlayStation has, or did they prefer removable AA batteries? 62% said they preferred the removable AA batteries. There's certain perks to that. Do you guys have a preference there? Do you like the way that Microsoft does it?
I kind of like the Microsoft way just because, like, I mean, not that I've really ran into the issue, but knowing that it's inevitable, like, basically ion batteries are going to fail at some point. Like, I've had the charge and play ones fail, but oh well, I just switch it. But like on the PlayStation side of it, I haven't had a controller fail. I mean, probably doesn't last as long as it did when I got it to start, but like, knowing that I'm going to have to basically take apart the controller or just buy a new controller, it's not very convenient. Like, I'd rather just have the battery not be something that can fail, and if it does fail, I can just swap it out, no problem, no fuss. That's where I like it. So
Yeah, I don't necessarily dislike PlayStation controller's way of doing stuff, but for me, I can just my controller dies, I have another battery pack. With my PlayStation controller, I have to plug it into a wall or go hook it up to something else, or use a second controller rather than a second battery pack. So that's just my preference. I have two PlayStation controllers just for that, and under the guise that we were going to play co-op, me and my fiance, but I just have two of them now. But that's just my preference.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I would have to say the disposable way. I don't use this. I've only had to use disposable batteries once because my Elite controller died, and then I was trying to find my charge and play, and I couldn't. So I just had to use the Series X controller that came with my console, and I didn't have the charge play yet, so I had to use batteries. That's the only time I've ever used batteries. Other than that, I've always usually had the charge and play, at least the last couple of generations.
Moko, what do you use for your batteries?
I was using just batteries. I was just buying batteries.
No, you're not the disposable AA battery guy, are you?
No,
He's the disposable guy you were talking about.
Are you the
I was a
9%er?
disposable AA battery guy, but my birthday was last week, and my mother-in-law bought me a play and charge kit.
Nice. I feel like I'm kind of antiquated now because you guys all have to play and charge kits, and I should probably change over for some of the reasons I noted. I do prefer the Microsoft system. I don't like needing to tether my controller to charge it ever. When my batteries are dead, I head right over to my battery chargers, swap them out, good to go. So to each their own. A lot of people.
I was spending so much money on batteries.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of reasons to not be going that route. So What else did we ask? We asked what systems users own and are currently using on a regular basis. Obviously, the Xbox Series X came in at 88% here, which is reflective of the 90% ownership number that we shared earlier. Interesting in this one is that Nintendo Switch, 45% of our users have a Nintendo Switch. Only 20% of our users also have a PlayStation 5. And if they do, they'll probably tell us about it in the comments when they're... That's an inside joke for myself, anyways. 50% of our users are using PC. And then we had the split on the Apple and Android devices. Our user base is using Android slightly more, and I think that's probably reflected in the overall market, so there's not much to see there. And finally, 10% of you are using VR hardware in some form or another, something that Xbox doesn't seem too worried about. It's not a way that they're going. They're letting other people handle that for now in the early stages of development with VR anyway. So we asked the people like Pineapple on Pizza. It was a 50-50 split, very gaming related there. We asked what dead Microsoft franchise you would like to see come back from the grave. This is a game that might not be currently in production, that we don't have any indication that's in production. Do you guys have any... Project Gotham, yes. He's so quick with that, too. He's like, Project Gotham, immediately.
That was such
1 versus 100.
Xbox.
1 versus 100,
100.
yes. That's an excellent
one of
choice.
them.
Yeah.
For me,
what's the cameo?
Banjo-Kazooie.
Oh, sorry, I had two of you at once. What's that, Mikey?
I said Banjo-Kazooie.
Yeah, Banjo, I said cameo.
Banjo-Kazooie is a good one. So let me go down some of the options here. And first of all, the number one requested game was Quake. I didn't even include it on the survey to begin with. It started to get a lot of write-in votes. Somebody mentioned it, so I added it. 40% of the users said that they would be interested in a Quake reboot, which I don't know how I missed Quake, guys. It was a huge PC game, and I know that competitively it was legendary, just like GoldenEye and some of the first-person shooters over the years. So did you guys ever have a Quake phase?
No,
I'm still in the Quake phase.
You're still in your Quake phase.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, like I'm playing like with Quake Champions. When I saw that nosedive, I was so sad. So I'm hoping that now that it's like a Xbox title like Bethesda and all that, like I'm hoping we see something good, again, because like it was there, like the formula's there. It's still the arena shooter. We don't really have a good arena shooter in that traditional sense anymore. So it's like we need that filled, and like it probably won't like do amazing numbers. It'll probably just be for the Quake fans, but like I don't think anyone like Champions. Like, you know what I mean? Like even the Quake fans went back to like Quake Live. I was like, oh, this is rough.
Yes, it was one of those situations.
I was gonna say I'm gonna make a bold prediction. If they don't announce Quake this year, they'll announce it next year. I'm pretty sure it's on their docket. They have to know it's Xbox. They know that Quake's a beloved series, and it's definitely going to get people talking. So I'll say, yeah, if it's not announced this year, there's going to be some kind of Quake announcement next year for sure.
I will say that this is just kind of a rinky-dink survey that we're doing just for kind of fun in the community. These studios usually do a lot of marketing research like this, and if we're seeing 40% from our community, that I feel like those numbers would be reflected elsewhere. So that's a good indication that we might see some Quake. There's definitely interest in it. Viva Pinata came in at 20%. That's half of what we had for Quake. So more people should be loving Viva Pinata. Fusion Frenzy came in at 22%. Do you guys recall that one? At one point, Bill Gates said it was his favorite Xbox game. If you don't recall it, it was an original Xbox game, kind of like American Gladiators almost. It was a multiplayer. There's room for that. Look at all these games like Gang Beast and all that stuff where, it's wacky co-op multiplayer on the couch. And Fusion Frenzy fits that mold very well. So that was interesting to see.
I was gonna say, Jay, for that Viva Pinata 20%, you just used a VSP and voted multiple times, didn't you?
I think it is worth noting that we limited the responses to one per email to try to avoid any manipulation of the survey. Not that anybody cares all that much about it, but yes, I did vote 300. No, I'm kidding. Other people out there apparently love those furry devils as well. Other big showings in this part of the survey were Conquer. Conquer's Bad Fur Day. Those are classic rare titles, and people have been asking for those for years, so not a big surprise there. But you guys, without knowing the data, you kind of nailed it. 1 versus 100 was the second most requested game after Quake, because that was a good time, right? I mean, if you remember 1 versus 100, that was a unique experience, especially at the time.
That was really, it's really good. It was good. That was a good experience.
Even before,
it's a shame that it dropped. What was the reason that it dropped in the end?
Do you guys know the story on this? It's been documented. Licensing, maybe, or I'm not sure the exact issue.
It was so unique. It was just, and the fact that it was like a live thing, from what I recall.
Yeah, really before Jackbox party games even caught on. It was just you were there with 100 other people, and it was a good time.
And it tied in with your avatar. Do you remember? It was when they re-released all the red, and re-released all the avatars, and it tied in with all that as well because your avatar took part in the game. It was.
Yep. So I don't know. People have been asking for that for a while, and anytime there's a rumor, people go crazy about it. So it's just one of those things that people remember fondly. We asked about what kind of primary display people are using. A full 30% of people have 4K 120 displays at this point, so that adoption rate is really starting to creep up. That actually surprised me. We asked if people would be watching the upcoming Xbox Bethesda game show. 2/3 of them said yes and live. Another 20% said yes recorded. And 17% said they wouldn't or they would catch up later despite news briefings. So the hype is there. Lots of excitement for that.
Can I ask you, what percentage of people said they had a 1440p display?
You can ask me that. 19% of the people said they had a 1440 120 display, and I am actually in that book. My TV will not do 4K 120, but I can get 1440 120. So I am very thankful Microsoft chose to support that format. That's a great question.
That's why I ask, because I use it for my primary gaming monitor. So
yeah, and it's a great resolution. Games look good. They play great, and actually, I think not going 4K helps with some of the frame rate that you might see, some of the issues you might see with a 4K resolution. So great question. Let's see. We got to the show. Okay, now we got into some community stuff here, and we'll try to dust through this real quickly. But we asked if people thought that the subreddit was a good source of platform news, and it looks 30. Let me do math right here. 75% rated 8 or better, so it feels like we're doing a good job of getting news posted here. If you guys are users and maybe you don't like the content that you're seeing on the subreddit, one of the things that I always like to mention is that you can submit stories. Please submit better news and submit the stuff that you want to see, and that's how you make the community better. We get some users that want to complain and be like, well, there's too much of this and not enough of that, and our job as moderators is to look at the rule list and compare the post to that rule list and see if it stands or if it doesn't. It's not our job to be, removing posts isn't a super downvote, I like to say. So even if there's something that we don't agree, if it's fine the rules, we leave it up. So it's up to you as users to downvote and submit the content that you want to see. It's just kind of one of those things that I like to stress. So we appreciate the people, our submitters, our news submitters. We asked if you're currently satisfied with the tech post policy, and I know this is getting probably a little boring and redundant, but it's kind of good to speak this stuff. 80% of you said that you don't want to see tech posts on the subreddit. On Xbox One, they maintain all the tech posts in a weekly mega thread. In this community, we do it a little different. We actually have a separate subreddit for the tech and help issues, and people ask, well, why did you do that? Why don't you just have like the weekly post or something? And there's really a few reasons to this. And the first one is archiving. So when you do a Bing or a Google search for an Xbox issue, if we do it in a mega thread, it's not really good about pulling up results if you're searching for an error code or something. But if you do a search for, say, Reddit error code this, the Xbox support subreddit or a separate subreddit, each of those posts archive better in search engines. So it makes it easier for people to come back to past posts and get help. We'll be happy to talk about that. If you ever have any questions, just go ahead and send us a mod mail. And I think that's really about it for the surveys and the data. We did get some comments about what people like and maybe what they don't like about the community so much. And we've had some funny ones, and maybe the people think that we're Microsoft sometimes. And we really try to stress that we're not officially affiliated to Microsoft, but they're like, you guys need to make more of this game, or and this kind of stuff. And I always just kind of laugh at that. I'm just like, we don't actually have the hotline to Xbox. We're just fans just like you guys. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Go ahead.
But they do read the sub. They do read the sub.
Yes, we
have
lots.
Major Nelson make some appearances. what is it, Melissa McGamepass or Megan Spur? I know she's been on there. I'm pretty sure Stein surfs us regularly. So we do have people that from Xbox that do actively read the sub. So if there is stuff that you guys want and things like that, that's why we have these shows and stuff like that, so we can get your voice out there. But yeah, just FYI, we don't work for Microsoft. We don't get paid by Microsoft. We don't get any incentive from Microsoft. Just to kind of put that out there.
I think 99% of our users understand that, but we still get the off comment sometime, and we'll just direct them to official resources when that happens. So some of the things that people liked about this community is it's a good source of news. Somebody said the amount of times the letter X is used. I can't deny that. Helpful and like-minded people. We got a lot of comments about how mature the community is, and that's reflective of you guys, not of us. A lot of subreddits out there are probably a little more toxic. I know that's an overused word, but you guys seem to keep the conversation usually on topic and in stride, and we try to help focus that as well. We'll remove the people that come in just to cause trouble or, the typical Reddit trolls, but it really is reflective of you all as a whole. So just know that other users notice that, and you make the community welcoming, which brings in more users, and we can all have this big party together. So it was really good to read some of that. Boy, we are starting to run long.
Kudos to you guys.
Yeah, for sure.
I was gonna say, yeah, kudos to the community. I mean, this is definitely, I've been on Xbox One and I've modded some subs and stuff like that, but this community hands down as one of like the more positive and engaging and welcoming experiences I've seen on Reddit in the gaming community. So awesome. You guys are pretty awesome.
It's not always perfect. We definitely still have our issues and places that we can improve, but nothing warms my heart more than seeing people come from other communities like Halo or even PlayStation sometimes, and there'll be a post that's cross-posted and they're just like, wow, the conversation here is so much more level and mature, for the word that I kept seeing, and I'm just like, yes, that's what we strive for. So we are so happy to see those comments. So we have a whole slate of game news here that isn't necessarily Xbox focused, and we can roll through some of the highlights real quick and then probably call it good for the day. But are you guys Shadowrun fans by chance? Nobody's biting on Shadowrun.
I did play Shadowrun 360. Yeah,
like the D&D game, like the D&D game, right? Like Shadowrun and stuff like that. I remember vaguely, but yeah, I've never really played the titles.
I think Moko said that he might have played on the 360. So can you give us
360? I'm trying to think. It had I can't recall exactly. It was more like a strategy shooter, wasn't it? You had to. It was like a multiplayer. It was a multiplayer. And
okay. I'm gonna bring in a user comment from the post, since we're all kind of drawing a blank on this. But the only reason I mentioned this is a lot of people seem hyped up about this. So maybe if we're missing on it, that's our bad. Maybe we missed something great. But this is from Gone Rampant 1. He's the person who made the post about, first of all, the news. The Shadowrun trilogy is coming to consoles, and it's a day one Game Pass game. So if you guys haven't played it, you're going to have the opportunity to check it out. It's a long-running tabletop RPG that was one of the pioneers of the cyberpunk genre way back in the 80s and 90s. In 2013, it was one of the success stories of Kickstarter game developer Boom with Returns, which spawned 2 more successful campaigns for Dragonfall and Hong Kong. They're all really good games, so I'm excited to see them and hopefully find new audiences. So this just kind of sounds like a blast from the past, but like I said, I had a lot of traction, so you can look forward to that day one on Game Pass.
I remember it being like a D&D style kind of thing.
Yeah, this is what it sounds like.
Or at least from that, yeah.
We also learned that Star Wars Jedi 2 is new gen only, supposedly. So a lot of people have been waiting to kind of finally leave the last generation in the dust, and boy, it's been a really slow migration to getting to a point where we're only running on new hardware. But it seems like those games are finally in development, and we're starting to get some confirmation of those. So I was excited to see that. We learned that Tales from the Borderlands is going to get a sequel later this year. This was a Telltale game, is that correct?
That is correct.
One of my favorites. I only played the first chapter, but I really enjoyed what I was able to play of it. I'm not even sure if they completed the first one. Did you guys get through that? Mikey, you sound like you're a little familiar with it.
I hadn't played it. My fiance, she knew I loved those games, and she had me sit down and we played it over a week. It's It's honestly a ton of fun. It's got some of the best humor. It's in Borderlands style humor, but it's reeled in a little bit, and it hits different. I loved it, and I'm looking forward to the sequel. There's some of my favorite characters. She wants to do Halloween as Reese and the lady that he works with. I forget her name right now. And I only remember Reese because it's one of the moderators' names on Xbox One.
Yeah.
Cheat code.
Yeah, that's actually Tales from the Borderland. That's the finger gun, correct? That finger gun scene. Am I remember
Yes.
that correct?
I believe so. I think Handsome Jack was a
classic
part of
scene.
it, and
Yeah.
I should go back and dust that off. Actually, I remember having a really good time with that. So, excited to hear that they're going to be bringing out something new. One thing that released today, and we're probably not ready to comment on, is Halo Infinite Season 2. It just came out now, so maybe
a few hours ago. Yeah.
Yeah, so hopefully some of you are out there already enjoying it. I'm going to dip in a little later tonight. They released a trailer for it, and for all the knocks against 343, it seems that people really enjoy their cinematics. So there was a lot of praise underneath that posted in the subreddits today, and I watched it, rightfully so. Certain companies are really good at telling the story cinematically. Blizzard comes to mind. Square Enix does a great job. And maybe we can add 343 to that list too, because they make some great cutscenes and great story scenes. So let's see. I think that's about it, guys. We've done it. We've cleared all the news. We talked about the survey. We didn't get to the Halo show today. We will probably try to update Halo talks. We want to catch up. We haven't discussed that in the last couple episodes. I will say that I've really enjoyed those episodes. Mikey, I think, did you catch up?
Yes, I did. I thought 2 episodes ago, 10 out of 10. And because I gave it a scathing review before.
You did. I think you gave it a 5. You were like, not nice.
5. Follow-up episode with, especially when he hijacks the Warthog, 10 out of 10.
Awesome.
He's like, I know how the game's played. And it's just, it's so great. And I give the last one a 9 out of 10. It was more storytelling, less action, but it was gut wrenching, especially how they started off. He's
Hold on one second. I don't know if people have seen spoilers.
I won't.
FYI.
Okay, I won't do spoilers then. I'll
Okay.
shut up.
I mean, I did
Not a
want to
good
get just
point.
kind of a quick opinion,
But
but I'm also really into it, so I know I want to roll with it too. But
Yeah, 9 out of 10 for this last one.
I also was kind of down on it after that the last episode that we recorded the show about. Anyways, it moved really slow. We talked about Chief taking his helmet off and putting it back on for the first time, really impacting me. And these last 2 episodes really gripped me, so I can't wait to discuss them further. Hopefully we can get a show about that in later this week. So, Kevin, I think you still have to catch up. Grim, did you watch the last 2 episodes?
No, I pretty much left off with the Warthog helmet taken on and off. But
understandable.
I'm kind of hyped. Yeah, I'm hyped hearing that, we got a 10 out of 10 and a 9 out of 10. The fact that was just a bad episode. I mean, sometimes an episode can really throw you off, but that's why it's important to follow it through to the end of the season sometimes, because not every episode's going to be a hit, and it's it definitely took a lot of wind out of my sails.
Yes.
Now I'm looking forward to it, so I might actually check in on it this week, and try and catch up, so I can at least see what this buzz is about. To go from a 5 to a 10, I mean, that's a big jump.
I feel like we're kind of creating the buzz here, but we're not the only ones. I've read reviews online too, and people really enjoyed these last 2 episodes. So if you two do catch up, would love to take some takes about it and bring in some of the audience members here, because I know we've had some users that weighed in before that probably have some updated takes as well.
Yeah. Let's talk offline, and then we'll kind of get a day. Sorry guys, I was on vacation and I kind of took the mantle of starting the Xbox Talk stuff, and I just fell through with it. So it's 100% my fault if you guys enjoyed that.
Way to enjoy life outside the cast.
Yeah, what the hell is this?
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry guys.
I never leave this chair, just so you guys know.
And I know. I just kind of took over it, and then I just dropped the ball on it. So
no, I think
ownership,
this is good.
And I want to apologize to you guys. It's my fault for sure.
Yeah, well, we don't need to have a show for every episode. I think doing every couple episodes is great. So I look forward to talking about that with you. Let's see. So I think that's kind of all the news and gossip and everything we have to talk about this week. We have run An hour and a half. Wow, that's a long show for us today. So thanks again for those of you that have joined us live, especially those that came up, Unbettable and our earlier guest, Siege. Somebody help me out. What was his name?
Rainbow Sieger.
Yes. Really starting off that topic that I got a little too fired up about, but we appreciate you guys coming up and those that have listened live. We also appreciate those of you that join us on any of the formats that we're available on. Did you guys have anything to close on? This is the chance for last remarks.
I'm afraid to bring it up because it might be a bigger topic. But we can save it for next show. It was the leaked comments by the Starfield developer.
Oh, Mike.
Nope. I think you've opened the can of worms. I think we got to touch on it just a little.
Oh, no.
I was waiting for it to show up, and I'm like, oh, it's not in the notes.
Somehow we missed the notes on that. I have an opinion on this, and I think you're probably going to echo it. So why don't you go ahead and give it to us?
Well, my thing, so for just to catch people up on it, what was released is that he said the engine was terrible. He said the game is great looking, the lighting systems were coming on board and stuff, but it was nowhere near Horizon Forbidden West, and that the flying wasn't fun. But otherwise, and then he said a whole bunch of other positive things too. He said there's too much content, far too much, and that the game itself, it'll come down to being fun. There's just so much to pick apart with that. What was said, one, we don't know when this developer was a former developer. Could have been last month, could have been 3 years ago. That's a rumor I've heard, is the 3-year mark. So games change entirely by then. Another thing, like the flight mechanics.
Speaking right now about this. No, you don't. It's if not to sort of,
what was that?
So what's his motive, for speaking about this now? Is it's obviously it's just about we've been promised some gameplay coming up in the beginning of June.
Well, that's that's one of the questions I think being raised is because this is an anonymous source. We don't know what their motivation is. I'd like to point out that this could be somebody that left on bad terms. This could be somebody working for a competitor. They did throw out that Horizon comparison pretty quickly.
Which is weird.
Yep. That was out of all the games you could compare it to. That was kind of very specific. I found odd.
That was my thing.
The identity was confirmed by, was it Jason Schreier? Somebody came in and said that, this guy is who they say they are. But other than that, we don't have any information. And it just, I'm not overly concerned about these criticisms that were levied. But as gaming press kind of does, anytime there's a scrap of news, even if it's not very solid, they tend to run with it. So I just like to get in front of these narratives when I can. We have a little bit of control on that sometimes in the subreddit where we might be able to point out some stuff before it gets too much steam behind it, because once these rumors really get going or things like this really get a lot of traction, you can't reel them back in after a certain point, and then it becomes, even if it might be not exactly true, it becomes true to a lot of users.
The flight stuff, it's just me. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
All I was going to say was my closing thoughts. He said flight wasn't fun, and that could be so for so many different reasons. One, you could look at a game like Elite Dangerous, which is highly realistic in its flight. You could look at that and go, I don't like that. Or he could think it's too arcadey. A lot of I don't like is entirely subjective.
Yeah,
and something that adds no value, especially when it already seems clear that a developer is almost out for cloud. Because why else are you bringing this up? Why are you,
right,
blacklisting yourself in the industry to do this? You have to be upset about something. Why are you doing this? So you have to take these opinions with a grain of salt, even if it is true. Because I actually, Jason Schreier, that's a whole different podcast.
We'll get into that one of these days. He's a controversial figure. So
not say that.
Yeah,
I was about to say that's a nice way of putting that. He's kind of an asshole, but sorry.
I didn't say that, but I did not say it either.
Sorry, I can't stand the guy.
Well, let's hope he's not.
My personal opinion.
Don't hold back.
But no, to go back on the Starfield thing. Oh yeah, there we go. Sorry, I should have given you the heads up in our video chat. No, sorry, but to go back to the Starfield, yeah, it's so weird. Like I'm taking all that with a grain of salt. Like he's making like Flight's not fun, but doesn't give any details. Tries to compare it to PlayStation, a PlayStation game that's not even the same genre. Like I can understand if like PlayStation had something kind of similar along the lines of like what Bethesda's doing to Starfield. Oh, okay, yeah, hey, that's a fair comparison. But to say like, oh, Horizon looks better, just kind of like, okay, dude, like you sound like one of them Twitter fanboys, It's just, yeah, I don't know. It seems too convenient right before Bethesda Showcase, and it just seems like somebody's just trying to get clout.
Yeah. Seems opportunistic.
Yep, I'd agree.
We'll find out in about 6 weeks. So
Yeah,
Well,
there
yeah,
we go.
of course.
We'll get
Sorry.
gameplay footage. That was something that was confirmed for. I believe it was confirmed.
Yes, it was. Yeah.
Don't stake me if it doesn't happen. But I think they intend to show gameplay footage finally at the Bethesda Xbox Game Show in June, and we will all be reacting live to that, and hopefully with positive reactions.
Yeah.
I'm part of the 90% shocking. I'm sure you guys are too. I love Bethesda games. I loved Fallout 4. I loved Fallout 3. I love Skyrim. It's just I'm all in. Give me that in space, and you can't go wrong unless you. I don't see how they could go wrong. I don't want to jinx them. I'm knocking on my fake wood desk, but that's the formula I need. So
There we go. I got
thank
it
you.
for you.
Thank you. You got me covered. So yeah, that guy and his flaky opinions. Well, who knows? Maybe he's spot on, and we'll all be super disappointed. But I highly doubt it. And I did say his opinions were flaky. So that's it for this week's show. Next week, are you guys good? I'm gonna kind of discuss this openly. Is Tuesday looking good again for you guys next week, so we can kind of get that out there? Probably
Yeah.
about-
Yeah.
record. Yeah.
Oh, good.
I'd say,
I think we're
yeah.
good.
All right.
Tuesday, Thursday. I'd actually kind of like to hear, like, hopefully maybe make a poll or something, see what the community wants, see what kind of day works better for them, that kind of thing. See if we can work on that as well. But Tuesday, Thursday, yeah, those days kind of work with me.
Yeah, that's terrific. And one of the things about this is I kind of say that we get a little better every week. Well, this has all been, I don't want to say chaos, but it's we've been trying to find our lane a little bit and kind of figure out how to do this best for the community, and that works with our various hosts that we have up here. And we want to make it a place that we can start bringing on guests again too, like industry guests. We talked to Andrew from Upspec Gaming earlier this year about the X screen, and we've been kind of not really approaching people and chasing people yet until we get the format more established. So I think we're almost to that point now where we're going to start chasing down some interviews, maybe some of the Game Pass games and stuff that are coming out. So we look forward to doing that in the future. So if you guys have any feedback, kind of like Kevin was just saying there, please drop us a comment below, and we'll see how we can integrate that into what we're doing here. So we're excited about where this is going in the future. I'm I cannot tell you how excited I am for the game show in June. I can't wait to do that with you guys and with the community here. So I think that's gonna wrap it up for today. Grim Provides, did you want to talk about our Discord real briefly? We have an extended community. It's a Discord server, and Grim is a mod over there. We're lucky enough to borrow him every week for this podcast, and he can tell you about some of the stuff going on over there.
Yeah, basically it's the Xbox community Discord, and we hold events, like music quiz, stuff like that. We're also having a lot more activity in the voice chat channels. So if you're not used to Discord, you could either be in a voice chat, or you can just chat like a chat room. Basically, it's just live, and people are always talking in there. But it's cool to have kind of both. So if you're like sort of busy, I know I used to do it all the time. If I'm like doing dishes, I'm gonna hop in a voice chat and talk that way. And it's cool to see it's coming back around, because for a little bit we were a little quiet on the voice chat side, outside of like Halo Night. But yeah, if you're looking to talk a little differently than Reddit, head over to Discord and check it out.
Yeah, I mean, this is cool. We like Reddit talk, but Discord offers a lot of opportunities for just different communication styles. I like to point that out for people looking for help and tech help as well, that it's a really helpful community over there. And if you ask questions, you're going to get someone to pick up and try to help you out. So I love hanging out over there as much as I do on Reddit. So if you guys are looking for something a little different, the link is at the top of the subreddit. You can just click the Discord button, and you will be a member of that community as well, and we'd love to see you there. So this week I am going to be wrapping up the Skywalker Saga. I think some of our users are probably aware that tomorrow is May the 4th. It seemed to be the perfect day to finish that game. It's Star Wars Day. If you're not aware, a lot of the Star Wars games are also on sale right now to help celebrate this unofficial holiday that's become an official holiday. So I will also be working on the Stanley Parable, and I will have more details next week, but I won't spoil it. I just want to understand the game a little bit more. So you guys have big plans for the week.
I mentioned to you in the pre-show that I'm getting back into 2K. So
You did.
yeah, so that's going to be my plan. I got to get my character up. I have a whole season of just not playing, so I need to catch up to all these other people I've been playing all year, you know.
I will say, for all the heat that 2K gets, a lot of people probably aren't even aware of this. It has a fantastic single-player game where it's almost like a sports role-playing game. You play games, you get experience, you level up your character, put in the different stats, and it's a pretty fun time for all the negativity that also surrounds that game, based around some of the stuff we talked about, microtransactions and that. So it's on Game Pass. Definitely worth a check out, even if maybe sports games aren't your normal cup of tea. That's a fun experience. So, Kevin, are you getting back into gaming this week, or are you going to be busy?
No, I definitely got some time this week. I'll probably, since Mikey was talking about it, jump back into 2077, the Cyberpunk. That's been on my list to finish up. And then I got like a ton of small games that just for gamer score, pretty much, I got to go through. So
send me the way so I can get to that 100,000.
Oh, yeah, easy. Yeah, trust me. Like, well, I usually save them for the 10,000 reward points that they do. They used to do like every other month, where if you get 10,000 gamer score, they'll give you 10,000 reward points. So I've just been saving them, but I think I got to start clearing them out now. So
oh man, I've missed out on so much stuff. I didn't even know that was a thing. I should have. See, this is why my gamer score is so low. I want to go back and play Terraria now.
There you go. Yeah, so yeah, just Cyberpunk. That's pretty much it. I think
Cool.
I'm going to dedicate all my time to that.
Yeah, with the update, great game right now. Moko, what have you been playing? What are you going to play this week?
This week, I'm going to jump into Season 2 of Halo Infinite. I want to finish Guardians of the Galaxy. I'm playing Skywalker Saga with my kid, which is real fun, real good fun. Do you know what I don't like about it, though? They'll just split screen. If anybody's played split screen, they've reverted to the old method, where it's like a hard split, where The Force Awakens, if you ever played that one, the screen kind of like melded between the two of you as you played. It's kind of jarring.
Yeah, I've noticed that because I switched controllers and they had the split screen
with the hard
pop up.
split, you can't. Yeah, it's an odd setup, but it's still a lot of fun. And it's such a vast game. There's so much to do in it and so much to collect.
Yeah.
And when you've got a kid that's into like cataloging stuff, like collecting characters, unlocking everything, it's fun. It's good.
Yep,
So,
I definitely agree. A great couch co-op game. It exceeded my expectations. So yeah, that's excellent. Mikey, you can close us out. What's on your gaming agenda this week?
The plan initially, because the way gaming works, I never know what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to try to finish Cyberpunk, but that's a hard try. I'm doing 100% completion run, so it probably won't be this week. But the big thing I want to get back to is doing Halo co-op, which is Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3, and all that. I'm doing it with my fiance, and we're gonna try to jump back into that. We've been playing through the campaign of Legendaries. That's my plan so far. I will tell you what happens next Tuesday.
That's pretty good. Are you you're playing separate consoles, right? Not split screen. I mean, I would assume.
Yeah, I'm actually playing on PC. She'll play on PC sometimes, and I've also seen her play on an Xbox while we do the co-op campaign.
Is that crossplay?
Play anywhere. Yep.
Oh God! Wow. What do I know? That's awesome. That's great to hear. So what a cool experience. Awesome. Well, I think that wraps it up for us. Thanks for joining, everybody, and thanks for all those that listen to us everywhere else that we've been putting this to. Live audiences who we greatly appreciate because you guys help make this show. So we will be back next Tuesday to record a normal episode, and maybe before then we'll sneak in a Halo episode. If we do, we'll put notice up at the top of the subreddit. I want these guys to catch up on the show. Mikey and I are caught up, and if you've been watching it yourself, maybe you have some hot takes that you want to share with us. Look out for that, and we'll talk to you then. So other than that, everybody have a great week. Thanks for joining us. It was a marathon today. We had a lot to catch up on, so it was great discussing all the latest Xbox news with all of you. Happy gaming, everyone.
Guys. Thank you.
Yep. Have a
Awesome,
good one,
guys.
everyone.
Happy gaming.
Adios.